الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Dear brothers, we bear witness that there is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his servant and messenger. Today inshallah we'll continue with the core values of Islam and the basic concepts, so we could stay focused on the big picture and not get lost in the details, and stay conscious of that big picture. And there is a concept that I would like to talk about today, that you see people talk about it here and there in passing, but it could be emphasized a little more, and that is happiness. Happiness, what is the concept of happiness in Islam? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be happy. And the winning in the hereafter is the ultimate happiness. But this life is not disconnected from the hereafter. It's all one continuum. What happens in this life is a doorway to what happens in the akhirah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be happy here. Wants us to be happy here on this earth during this life before the next. And Islam will help us. We'll see through the khutbah inshallah how Islam will help us obtain that happiness, in this life of lots of turmoil, lots of stresses, lots of hardship, and the condition of the Muslim world is not its best. It's easy to get to lose focus of this. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first and foremost, I will start with those two verses, and then we'll take it how we'll have a sequence of thoughts how it would lead us to the conclusion. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى. Whomever does a good deed, man or a woman, male or female, من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن, while he is a believer, فلنحيينه, with emphasis, فلنحيينه, indeed we will make him live حياة طيبة, a good life, a happy life. فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. This is one side. And the other side he says in Surah Taha, فَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا يَضُلُّ وَلَا يَشْقَى. Whomever follows my guidance, he's not going to go astray, and he's not going to see hardship. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي. And whomever stays away or rejects remembering me, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. And he will live a hardship life, a life that is hard, full of hardship. And he is talking about this life, because at the end of the verse he says, in the continuing of the verse he says, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. And on the day of judgment he will be resurrected blind. So here's two examples. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. We gave him the two paths. One path is going to lead to a happy life in this earth, and the other path is going to lead a hardship life in this earth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clearly tying this to belief and good deed. After belief, He is tying it to good deed. So the type of work we do, according to these verses, is the key to happiness in this life. Now, someone may be skeptical and they come and say, well, we see people, that believers and otherwise, they go through life. Some of them are happy, some of them are sad, some of them have wealth, some of them don't. Successful business, money, whatever. It's we don't see this really tied to what we do. We see people that are happy. Those who have money and power and a lot of stuff, and those that are poor and miserable. Those are people that are happy. Well, it's okay to be skeptical and to say it's okay for these to come out, as long as you talk it with the right people to give you good answers. But it is a testable hypothesis. Well, do we see people that have all the money in the world? They have all the money in the world, and then they're miserable. Some of them actually commit suicide. A few months ago we heard about a celebrity that committed suicide. Had everything he needs. Why? Why would someone has everything they want, everything they could ever want, be so unhappy that they would commit suicide? And on the other end, you sometimes see people that practically don't have anything, but they're happy. A little child can be happy with a toy that is less than $1. So what is really happening here? What Islam is trying to do is to have us refocus our thoughts and ideas on what is truly valuable in this life. What is truly valuable in this life. And first, what is truly valuable starts with faith. If you have faith, you will understand the grand message that you are involved in. You understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants of you. Why are you alive and why are you here on this earth? You're here because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us istikhlaf. He wants us to build this earth, to make a good society, to have a practical representation of our submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in this grand message, we find ourselves, our personal and individual lives are short. We personally, individually, we are weak. But when you understand this grand picture that you are part of, it gives a greater meaning to your life. Even if that life is short, you work for something bigger and a bigger message, and that gives you back happiness, and that gives you back tranquility and peace of mind. And remembering this and remembering your faith and remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. The remembering of Allah is when the heart finds tranquility. This is the beginning of the road of happiness in Islam. This is not the end of the road of happiness, but this is the beginning. If you start with the right concept and the right idea and the right place, and you will be on the right path, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So remembering Allah gives you tranquility. And then Islam focuses again on true value. He ties happiness to work, to deed, to what you do. He says, you do good, you will find he emphasizes, we will make him live a happy life. And you do otherwise, you will live a hardship life. So when Islam tries to create a mental shift in what is truly valuable. So what is truly valuable? What do we have? Money, is this really what's going to cause us happiness? Well, let's test it. It's a testable hypothesis again. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. What happens? You're not seeing. You lose your vision. You lose your sight. How long are you going to keep your eyes closed? Okay, what if I tell you, I'm going to give you $1 million, but you will not see again for the rest of your life. You will live the rest of your life like this. Are you going to take that $1 million? If you say no, that means your eyes are worth for you at least more than $1 million. Would you do it for $10 million? If you have a child, a baby, maybe 6 months old or 1 year old, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with a child. Would you sell that child away for $1 million, 10 million, 50 million? If you say no, then you already have more value than you think. You have things that cannot be even valued with money. So this is the mental focus that we need to go on, because happiness starts. Yes, it can, materialistic things can bring comfort and some happiness, but it has to be built on something inside. Without that something inside, that is not going to fly. How many people, we know, they have everything they need, but they're miserable, they're not happy. So what's wrong? What are they missing here? There's nothing inside. The building blocks of happiness are not inside. But Islam will give you that building blocks. Islam will refocus. Will create that mental shift to refocus on how happiness can actually be attained. Prophet ﷺ says, لَيْسَ الْغِنَى غِنَى الْمَالِ. To be truly wealthy is not to have a lot of money. وَلَكِنَّ الْغِنَى غِنَى النَّفْسِ. It's your own soul inside. This is what wealth is. It's inside. And if you think about it, if you just think about it for a minute, just look at people who, if you maybe you're not seeing, how blessed you are. Maybe you need to be reminded. Just look at people that are below you. Look at people that have less health than you. Look at people that have less money than you. You have a lot more than you think you do. Chances are you have everything. And after you actually make that mental shift, after you refocus, that it really starts within, then it's okay to build, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, He knows our nature, He knows what's good for us. He wants, obviously, there is a materialistic aspect to our lives that we have to fulfill. Actually, it's a necessary step to fulfill our materialistic needs before we go on to something greater and start working for the greater good. But that personal, individual, materialistic fulfillment is built on solid and true ground, and then it's balanced Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَابْتَغِ فِي مَا أَتَاكَ اللَّهُ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةِ. Seek those resources that you have in your life, health, money, wealth, knowledge, power, whatever it is, seek with it الدار الآخرة, the life after. Seek with it. Invest it for the life after. But then he also says, وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. Don't forget your share of this life. So it's a balanced picture. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when he's talking about, the Bedouins and how they treat their livestock, says, وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا جَمَالٌ حِينَ تُرِيحُونَ وَحِينَ تَسْرَحُونَ. When you see all of that going in during the day and coming out in the evening, you feel good. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي أَخْرَجَ لِعِبَادِهِ. Who wants to forbid the beauties that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in this life. That's not for anyone to say. It's okay to have this materialistic aspect, as long as it's, again, built on solid ground. As long as you remember, it only serves its function when it's built on something within and it's balanced. With all of that, on the other end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the pleasures of this life is very little. مَتَاعٌ قَلِيلٌ. مَتَاعٌ قَلِيلٌ. It's little pleasures. It is little in quality, and it's little in quantity, and it's little in time. While the hereafter is greater in quantity, greater in quality, and greater in time. So, after you build this correctly, and then what you find is, you're not going to always be so immersed and sucked up in this turmoil of trying to get more and more and more, and you want to be happy. 100,000 not enough, 1 million is not enough. You need more and more and more. You actually start feeling satisfied. That's not a call for people not to work in poverty, but it's a call for satisfaction. Prophet ﷺ says, "Min sa'adat ibn Adam," the pleasures of Ibn Adam. Basic needs: a good spouse, a good house, and a good car. Wasn't a car at the time, but that's really the meaning of it. And the Prophet ﷺ also says, "Man bata, whomever sleeps in his home, من بات آمنا في سربه." He is safe in his home, and he is healthy in his body, and he has enough food for a short time. He gained most of what this life, he has most of what this life has to offer. So you find yourself satisfied. You find yourself, you're not necessarily in feeling that if you don't if you don't, you have a benchmark, you either accomplish that really, really high benchmark that is always going up, by the way, it never really stays the same, and you either accomplish it or you're miserable. You don't find yourself like that. And then what happens after you have faith, you have connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you see true value, what is really valuable in your life and what is less valuable in your life, and you satisfy in a balanced way, you satisfy those materialistic and basic needs that you have, then you are prepared by Islam for the real source of happiness in this life, which is good deed. Good deed brings happiness. Bad deeds bring sorrow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا النَّجْوَى مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ لِيَحْزُنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. The counseling of the shaitan in your mind, he's doing this so he can make you sad. He can make you do bad things and make you sad. He's going through your mind, and you do bad things. Most people would admit to themselves, at least, they're not happy when they do bad things. And to some extent that's actually a good sign that the heart is still alive. Whoever gets to the point where they're flattered to do bad things, it's actually that their heart is almost dead. And when you are ready to live for something greater, when you're ready to live for something greater, ready to do all those good deeds that you need to do in this life, Islam again helps you to see true value. It helps you see reality as it is, because it is easy to try to do something and then you get disappointed or you're unsuccessful, and then you sort of you feel sad. But Islam tells you, no, hold on, you're going to have obstacles. In fact, all of this life is basically one big series of obstacles. There is no point B. You're going to keep striving to get to point B, but point B is not in this life, and you have to understand that. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. We created man in hardship. But why is this hardship? So we can work, so we can make it better. And this is what istikhlaf is about. You need to strive to improve and make things better. And in this process, Islam gives you the tools not to be discouraged. Prophet ﷺ says, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. Wonderful is the status of the mu'min. أَمْرُهُ كُلُّهُ خَيْرٌ. All of his status, all of his situations that he can go through, they're all good for him. If he does something good, he gets reward for it, it's good for him. And if he faces something, discouragement or a bad situation or hardship or something bad happens to him, and he be patient, he exercises sabr, then it's also good for him. Because all of this, you see the true value. It's not about this life. It's about how you go through this life in preparation for the life after. And then, following this prescription, you walk through this life living a happy, good life because you focus on what is real. You focus on what's going to bring real and true benefit for you after you die. And at the end, when you die, when those angels come to take you away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ تَتَوَفَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ طَيِّبِينَ يَقُولُونَ سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ. Those who the angels will come to them and they want to take their souls, and they are in good status, they are happy, they are tranquil, and then they tell them, peace be upon you. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعما كافٍ مزيدا واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معاصيك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك، ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا، ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا ما أحييتنا، واجعله الوارث منا، واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا، وانصرنا على من عادانا، ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا، ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا، ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك ولا يرحمنا. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله العظيم. There was a brother who wanted to say something. Okay, أقم الصلاة.